I share videos about all the great things that students can do. Naturally, I get asked how it's possible to juggle classwork, a student job, and an extracurricular activity. I put together a list of 44 time management and productivity improvement tips that will help you to choose the right activities and execute them more efficiently. So let's start. The first technique I recommend is time blocking. Use a digital or analog calendar and add the following things. During the semester, you have fixed class hours. Count in the commute time. Let's say you also have a student job for 10 hours a week. Now add your most important free time activities and commitments. For each course, identify the time you need to study extra and the time you need for assignments and project work. Finally, you can fill the remaining blocks with anything you like. This helps you to identify if you have too much on your plate and need to overthink your commitments. Maybe you'll have to reduce the number of courses. Don't be too strict with your plan. You can still be spontaneous and adjust your schedule if something comes up. Earlier, we added study times into our calendar. However, this can be quite random if the semester hasn't even started yet. Look into the details of each course to make predictions about the workload. There's normally a course description that tells you more about the assignment and examination structure and the expected workload. Some courses are much more time-consuming than others. The topic may be harder for you. Sometimes professors expect a lot from students. Check what the deadlines and milestones are for each course. Check when the exams take place. Right at the end of the semester, or can you outsource the exam preparation to the lecture-free time? Identify what the estimated effort is for each activity and how much you think you need to study additionally each week. Talk to seniors and your program managers to find out which courses are especially demanding. Maybe you need to adjust the number of courses based on that information. Instead of wanting to do it all, you must decide on a few things that contribute best to your personal goals. Do you need to take all courses? Is a certain student job or internship really necessary? Do you need to take every opportunity for an extracurricular project or activity? Or can you pick one or two that are most beneficial? Some of my students insist on doing an internship before writing their final thesis. The problem is that an internship is much harder to find than a thesis. It's not guaranteed to get one at all. With or without internship, they may be delaying their studies for 6 to 12 months. Instead, they could have finished the thesis and started working full-time. There's no right or wrong here, just something to think about. It's okay to drop an activity if you later find that it's not the right fit for you. It's totally normal in the business world to test the waters with a concept and then adjust. I don't mean giving up on something. I mean deciding if you should continue with a course or extracurricular activity after finding out that it doesn't contribute to your goals as you initially thought it could have. We all know what a to-do list is, but you may not be aware that a to-do list can cause more harm than good if it is applied in a wrong way. Look at this to-do list. Everything looks as if it is of the same importance. Everything looks as if it takes the same amount of time. If all of your tasks have the same priority, you can easily pick out tasks that don't contribute to your long-term goals. After weeks and months, you feel that you've done things, but you haven't accomplished much in the long term. The main purpose of a to-do list is not to forget tasks. Free your mind of all the things that need to be done by putting them in writing. It doesn't take much effort. Later, move the item from your temporary list to a prioritized list. You can sort the tasks by importance and urgency. The to-do list isn't so effective if you're trying to work off items directly from it. Break all tasks down to small items and put them in the calendar to work the items off. Maybe some tasks from your low priority to-do list won't ever be done, and that's okay. There are plenty of tools out there like Trello, Asana, and Google Calendar that you can use to organize yourself digitally. Schedule certain tasks at times when you are most productive. The reason why I picked to publish my YouTube videos on Fridays is the following. My video is out on Friday. That means I have Saturday and Sunday free to do the creative work of scripting my next video without disruptions. I do that in the morning because I have a lot of willpower then. I do most of my editing during the week after work when I'm already worn out. It's manual work that requires less focused brain power. Ask yourself what assignments and tasks require more creative energy and assign them to your most productive hours. You may not want to use your willpower to do your chores or answer simple emails. Do them when your brain is worn out. Measure how much time you need to complete a task. You may be surprised about how far our estimation can be off from the reality. Take your next 5 assignments, write down how much time you think you need, and then measure how much time you actually need. Also measure how much time you spend on all your activities like watching TV, being on social media, doing chores, etc. You don't have to do this forever, but for a few weeks to get a feeling for where your time goes. You want to be realistic about what you can achieve in a single day. Go through your results and define what activities you want to dedicate more or less time to. This will help you to improve your planning and make more room for the things that you value most. For a while, I found that I spent more hours than I imagined on social media, procrastination, and other time eaters that make you feel guilty. If I used only half of this time to create something instead of consuming, there's a lot I could have achieved. We're not machines. You can feel good about browsing social media and playing games if you do it more consciously and feel more in control of the time that you spend on these activities. Put those times on your calendar if you want to. There are apps for tracking your time like Clockify. There are apps that help you limit the time you spend on Netflix and social media. There are so many time management methods that it can become overwhelming. Don't try to do everything at once. My recommendation is to start planning your work with a calendar. The calendar is already a good start to measure your performance. You'll see if you need more or less time for certain tasks. 2 weeks later, pick another method from this list and see if it works for you. I often observe many students starting assignments 2 days before the deadline. Then it's almost too late to ask questions and get answers on time. The task is underestimated, the student is stuck at a point and missed some important hints that were given in class a few days ago. Finally, the student pulls an all-nighter and delivers mediocre work. I'm not saying you should finish your assignments much earlier than the deadline. That would be pretty unnatural. No, take half an hour to look at it and see if you have everything you need to solve it. Write down questions and ask your professor for additional tips to guide you in the right direction. This helps you to make the right time predictions, and it's a simple safety net. Some assignments, essays, and project deliverables are too big to start 2 days before the deadline. You have no choice but to make significant progress over weeks. But you have only this one delivery milestone, which makes it very tempting to procrastinate. Set artificial deadlines. You may say, I can't work with a deadline that I set for myself. I believe you. It's difficult to schedule deadlines when you're only accountable to yourself. So team up, create a study group and create a little peer pressure. Schedule deadlines together and present intermediate results to each other. If you have classmates that you can trust, form a study group and divide tasks. Everyone does one task and explains to the others how they solved it. Don't just copy the results. Maybe don't even show each other the results. You don't want to get penalties and you want to learn as much as possible from the assignment. Solve it yourself later very fast with the info that you got. By the way, teaching your classmates will help you to understand things better. Often a task is just too big and too scary. If you put 20-page essay on your to-do list, you probably just want to scrunch it up, toss it away, and never think of that essay again. A very simple task, on the other hand, can create initial momentum. Write the title, create the file, write the first paragraph. Even setting a timer for 2 minutes and saying that you will only work for 2 minutes can be a nice trick. Once you start it, you normally keep going. Every time I pack my things before I go to play badminton, I'm like a baby. After the first minute on the court, I'm like, how could I ever think about staying home? This is awesome. There were moments when I went to work, sat there for 2 hours, and didn't get anything done. Being at work doesn't equal working. Being present in class doesn't equal studying. Let's say you sit in class and you can't follow at all. You don't even attempt to listen anymore, but there are still 2 hours to go. Just stand up and leave. You're doing no one, the very least yourself, a favor if you sit there doing nothing. Use the time to do something productive like an assignment. Go exercise or do something fun. Anything better than knowingly wasting your time and fooling yourself. Next time, go to class more prepared so that you can follow the content. Do you want a student job within the next 6 months? Set that goal, break down the steps and schedule them. Have a list of your long-term goals in front of you as a reminder. It's easy to lose sight when you're busy with day-to-day tasks. Working in short intervals can be very motivating and lead to an overall productivity boost. The most popular method is Pomodoro, in which you work for 25 minutes. Break down your task into small units and set the timer. This helped me a lot in the past. Determine your required break time and the time of break that suits you best. There are many studies that try to identify the perfect work-to-break ratio. One example I found states that 52 minutes of work followed by 17 minutes of break is what in average the most productive workers do. Some suggest shorter work bursts of 25 minutes and a combination of many short breaks and a few long breaks. I'm saying try out different things and identify your sweet spot. Breaks help to energize and get more done in a day. Some studies say it's useful to reward yourself with a coffee or a treat after a work session. If you want to get more content about improving your life as a student, simply subscribe to this channel. But this list goes on, so stay tuned for part 2.